Hi everyone. Okay, today's session is about explore .NET Core microservice with Azure services, and I'm here, Menaka Bhaskar Pillai. Uh, it's my Twitter ID. So donate. It's for a noble cause. So kindly do this in support of UNICEF. Those are the sponsors. And today Ajanta is monolithic architecture, pros and cons in monolithic, microservice architecture, pros and cons in microservice, API gateway, .NET Core and API gateway in correlation, how to implement microservice with API gateway in Azure. So as per Ajanta, if we are going to discuss something from origin to what we having now. In this Ajanta, I'm not going to use every microservice because every Azure service with microservice, because if we want to use Azure service with whatever application, either it's a .NET Core or .NET Framework, whatever we are using, if we are using Azure service with that, there is lot of things to explore, because for I can use Azure Event Bus for a messaging queue and other lot of things for communications of microservice, or some other things I can use. But the major thing we can use for microservice, it's like app service. Whatever it is, at end we need to go to app service for publishing an app in an Azure environment. So today we are discussing about mainly about API gateways, and along with how we can managing our resources, how we are doing the publishing environment in Azure, and all those things we are going to see in microservice. So first, we are going with a monolithic architecture. Think simple, a single loaf of bread and a separate slices of bread are it's easy to see and easy to human can get a tempt of eating those things. So same it is, we are comparing with our monolithic architecture. It is containing everything in a single roof. So compared to work in a monolithic architecture and compared to work in microservice architecture, now we are getting the nano service architecture also, some other architecture like onion architecture, something in .NET Core. Why I am preferring like monolithic is not it's not acceptable, why microservice is acceptable? You think your complete application is depend on one layer, so any failure or any progress issues will affect your complete application. So if I have any problem at one point of application, that will shut down my entire server. What is the use of having that application in my environment? So this will create lot of issues, and there is will be like I want to balance my desktop service, either it is my in Chrome or in my Opera Mini or wherever, along with my mobile device in a single load balancer that stores everything about the payment, order, catalog, business, everything. So everything's are directly related to my RDBMS. So what the thing happen here is, whenever I have problem with my UI or with other services that related to my application environment, my entire application will go down. So fixing the issue is considered to here. If I have any issues, particularly at monolithic architecture, I cannot find out where exact that issue is. And if I find out, although if the single fix will create my entire shutdown of my application. So if I want to fix those issues, I just need to do complete manipulating of the application, where it comes, how I can fix those issues. So this is create lot of conflict. As a developer end, it as a bug fixing also, it is very complicated to fix the bugs, where it is originated, at which layer it has been. So this is the monolithic architecture, but the traditional application what we are using now also being built at monolithic architecture. We cannot say like monolithic architecture have some cons alone. There is something good in monolithic architecture as adaptive learning. We've been started our every application development from monolithic architecture, like what we am seeing. We use a load balancer, so we are working in a monolithic architecture since from long. But the thing is like we need to have something to overcome this issue. That is what we are doing as a technological development. So we need to overcome the issues, like if any layer goes on failure, I need to have that layer alone under consideration, where other application need to be work as fine. So this is main concentration that comes into monolithic architecture. At the same time, how many loads I can give to my server at the same time? if I'm giving many loads, my server definitely goes down. So how many time I will use my database? How many time I will call my database every time? So this and all the concentration that comes from the monolithic architecture. So seeing this image, we can completely understand what exactly the monolithic architecture it is and how it will impact the failure issues. So that's what we are going for microservice, and deep now we are having the nano service also. But here what monolithic architecture is difficult when it grows. Like as I told you, if we have the large number of code samples, that is very complicated to understand, especially for a new developer. I'm a new ASE, I'm just joined my company. If they give me one application where I need to fix the bugs, I just see in my system, I'm just seeing there is no layers and there is no proper segmentation of the application. I'm just seeing the simple code written as I'm writing everything inside my static domain. What I will do as a new developer, I cannot understand what part of the application, where does it begins, how it been differentiated, which layer is connecting to DB. That's the main thing, the first, the foremost thing that monolithic architecture faces as an issue. And then scaling became challenging. Either it is an Azure service or any other cloud provider service, we are having scaling as a prominent use. So if it is a VM or something, we are subjected to scaling. Same thing applicable to the application environment also. If you want to scale something, it became very challenging if it is a monolithic architecture. And third point comes here, action. Everything we are doing in our Azure DevOps, it's a development, test, deployment, everything we are after one stage we are need to take that to the Azure DevOps. So when I'm doing I want to deploy my application into the container, that is consider that is like a AKS container. I want an image of an application so I can do along with my Azure DevOps. If I have a monolithic architecture, how I can containerize my application? There is no usage of AKS that comes with the Azure Fabrics or something. I cannot create an image of my application until it is containerized. So that kind of challenges are we are having in a monolithic architecture. And another thing is like overloader IDE. Even I'm having a less number of project with good storage space, I have difficulty to open my VS Code or something because of my environment or because of my pre-built hardware. So if I have those kind of code, think how your application react when you as a developer you are opening. It will take long time to load as your project. So that is like it makes our IDE slow. It will take our build time very increase. That is extremely difficult because we cannot work on such environment where we have having the only code, other than that nothing. So it's extremely difficult to change technology or language or framework. Yeah, I'm having my application that been developed in AngularJS. I just want to upgrade that to Angular 4 or up above. The application been having the monolithic architecture. So think yourself like you want to upgrade or you want to migrate something from your local to your cloud or something. It's very complicated. That's not about the DevOps or AKS or other cloud service you want to implement. For a normal migration or upgradation, being a developer in monolithic architecture is very hard compared to that of microservice. So that's what the difficulties we are facing with monolithic, and that's what we are migrating to microservice. So next about microservice architecture. You can ask me like monolithic architecture has single thing, everything being maintained under single thing. So there is nothing to worry about the services and the dependency. But if we are coming to microservice architecture, we are having separate services. So each services perform individual action, and there will be something called API gateway that will be action into the client, that will take the action spot of the client. So whenever the client interact with the API gateway, it will split according to the request to each services, and after that the management and everything will be take place by means of the microservice. So think myself, I'm having a list of projects that I have an order and my customer table. Whenever my customer is ordering something, my order table need to get updated automatically. So what I am doing is I am having two services separately. So I am having any event bus or logic app something. So whenever my order table or customer table is getting updated, both are communicating each other. So my order table is getting updated or my customer table getting updated. So if I have these two things as separate service and I'm using my any event bus or any logic app to send the messages of every updation, it's quite easy because I don't need to write everything in a same sample. So I need to write two logic for two things. Whenever order is getting updated, customer table need to update one logic, and whenever customer table is updated, order need to be updated. So another logic. So compared to this, whenever one is get updated, just pass a message event between two service. So this update will update those tables in another dependency table. So this will create very less problems wherever the issue. Suppose I have 2 to 3 service and the issue is at my third service. So other services that depend on it have some problem, but that is not depend on it. Suppose it is something UI part or some other part that is not depend on this. It is not need to be goes for a failure rate. So I can work on other service independently, fixing my problem in my particular service where the issue is. So here the main point come into action is I can easily identify exactly where my issue is and which service I need to take consideration to fix that issue. So at another end, I can have my DevOps, that's operational. As a developer, if we want to have the operational knowledge, like I have to deploy my application to AKS or something like Azure Fabrics, what I will do, it's very easy. I can individually containerize my application. I can create an image. I can push that image. I can create a publish artifact. So it is very easy to deploy my application as a microservice, containerized application to Azure Kubernetes service via Azure DevOps. But think about a monolithic architecture. It's not that much easy compared to that. I have everything as a single slice of bread. So it's easy for me to understand my issues. At the same time, I have a common gateway that will act as a mediator to my client. So my client never want to contact, does not need to contact directly to my microservice services. So it's like a management. So complete packed management. So everything happens as an orchestration. So this is how microservice architecture actually looks. So privilege with microservice architecture. I've been covered maximum things in my previous slide. This is like something about advantages. So each microservice is small and focused on a specific features and a business requirement. So what I'm telling is like each service has certain business requirement. So it's very small module. So we can able to understand as a new developer, if you are giving the microservice architecture, you can able to understand what exactly the service is doing in the application. So that's like it's very small and focused, and microservice can develop independently by small team of developer. I'm in a big bulk project where I need to do my payment activities, and someone need to do the some other activities like managing or something. So they can split the project like this services that you need to do, this API that you need to work. So splitting the single project into multiple layer makes your developer easy to work on a particular issue or particular solution that he needs to deliver to the customer end. So microservices loosely coupled means services are independent in terms of development and deployment. This is what I told in development end we have separate layers, so we can easily develop the thing what we need exactly the particular service. And in deployment end, here it comes the containerization. So particular image of the image being obtained and they can be deployed in AKS or some other service. And microservice can be developed using different programming language. What I'm here, the constraint comes. Every language have its own microservice architecture. Since it's a .NET and something in .NET, I'm going with the .NET Core. So that's why I took like microservice in .NET Core. But if you see in other language also, there is some other name in microservice. We can use accordingly. So microservice allows easy and flexible way to integrate automatic deployment with continuous integration tool. This is where DevOps comes into action. Already I told you, like, it's very easy because usually in DevOps environment, what we will do is we need to build an image and we need to push that image. After that, what we will do is we need to copy those uh, futures to publish artifact, and then we will deploy. So while we are doing those activity with Helm or some other thing, it's easy for microservice architecture to go, because we have separate containers, so it's very easy to work on those things, and it is a productive of a new team member will be quick enough. So as a new ASC, if someone is coming to learn application or something, they need to work on the application, it is very easy to be productive of a new team member. That will be quick enough for the understanding purpose also. So this is with the privilege with the microservice architecture. Things to consider in microservice. Everything what I told before, like if we have a coin, it have both sides, like a head and tail. So whatever things we are going, there will be a positive as well as concentrations also. So here there are something like microservice is little complex, because if it is a single layer, you see something, it's something complex, but splitting the layers completely into single individual path, it will make something complex than monolithic, because it have multiple service. So you need to search which service in as like searching which service is performing which action, like that. Microservice require cultural changes. So cultural shift needed to be adapt the changes. So here what they are telling is like, you need to have a better understanding of what exactly agile is, how you are going to perform your deployment in your DevOps. So there is lot of difference between monolithic and microservice in deployment, and how you guys are working in the agile environment, because waterfall environment have something same for monolithic and a microservice, where we are going to just follow the plan as per progress. But if you having implementing something via agile, there is something you need to take into consideration if it is a microservice, as well as for the DevOps culture also. So microservices are often more expensive than monolithic. The architecture itself is an expensive architecture. So this is lead to the network latency. So wherever the more remote calls been there, so it will lead to some network discrepancy. So microservice can present security threats. So we are establishing a inter-service communication. So whenever we are doing an inter-service communication, there will be certain security threats. We cannot say that everything have been compliance. Sometimes there is some malpractice can be done in between while we are establishing. So we need to take some actions to prevent how data being sent, because I'm sending my data, one table is updating to another table. So in between that, even it is Azure Event Bus or some other communication agent I'm doing, either I'm using synchronous or asynchronous, whatever it is, I need to take care of my data, because data maintenance is a main thing apart from all of this. So we need to take care of data while we are establishing communication between two services. So API gateway. This is the main topic as we are going to discuss today. In order to make a brief something, so I'm just get a brush up of about all those things in monolithic and microservice, and why we are using those kind of things. So what exactly API gateway? I heard a lot of things about API gateway, Azure API gateway, a lot of things. What exactly API gateway? An API gateway is a single entry point for certain group of microservice. So as in a slide shown before, it is a single entry point. So my client don't need to disrupt my services in my architecture. So API is act as an entry point of all the services. Avoids coupling between the client apps and microservices directly. So it will never allows the client app to direct coupling with your microservice. So as it is also related somewhat to the previous point, everything does here is this, it is act as a mediator or moderator that been present at the center. Avoids too many round trips directly to the microservice. So again disturbing the services, again asking the server to claim that services. So here it will avoid the many trips that can directly injure to your services. It will avoid the security issue if you hide internal microservices that aren't directly used by the client types. So here what it does is like it will avoid the security issues. I already told you like if you're having establishing microservice and we are establishing communication between the microservice, there will be something like we need to take care of security. API gateway is main concept of API gateway is to avoid the security issue. So I cannot see what exactly inside my application. I can see something overcoat that is like act as a production layer. So I can every time I need to integrate or something, I can use my API gateway as a fragment. So other services inside it cannot be viewed. So this is how single custom API service works out. So you can see this API gateway can be anything. If I am having Azure API service, that's fine. API gateway service, that is fine. If I have some other custom gateway service, that is also fine. Here we are going to see something about Oscillate API gateway. That is something already been existed. So in microservice, how we are going to use those API gateway. So what I am having here is like I have a client mobile app, client SPA web app, and traditional web app. That's a browser. So whatever it is at my backend, it will go directly to my API gateway where it acts as a container or a web host. So all other services are being bounded along each other to my API gateway. So whenever something requesting like from a front end as a UI layer or something from a traditional web app, that's from the browser like HTML also. So everything. So here I'm mentioning like JSON because mostly we are sending JSON. Everything will be actually it will go to API gateway where it will contain the web host. So it will be split everything accordingly to the service request and it act as a moderator. That's what API gateway does. So here we having like complete backend architecture. This is how the roofing of API gateway will does to the microservice architecture. It act as a overcoat or overlayer of the entire service in your backend. So whatever the things you are climbing from your front end or a web or whatever you are climbing, you are getting those things from the microservice. So in this, what we are going to explain is what is actually the API gateway. So I already told you a lot of things like we can use Azure API gateway and other API gateway also. I choose here as Oscillate API gateway. It is like why I prefer Oscillate API gateway in microservice architecture is it is a lightweight API gateway. So if I'm using Oscillate API gateway, if I'm using other API gateway, I feel like it is very light to use, and the way I'm using is also very easy. I don't need to write lot of code, or I don't need to configure lot of things in my program.cs or some other. If I'm using .NET Core, I don't need to write lot of things. Can simply use in a quite good manner, and it's an open source .NET Core based API gateway, specially made for microservice. This is like this API gateway since I'm using from last year to now, it's very good to use because the number of lines even I'm writing in .json file also it's very less because lot of modification being done in this API gateway. So what I am telling is like it's very easy to use, and after that it's a open source, so you can use easily in your .NET Core development whenever you are using a microservice, and it's a .NET Core you can deploy into the same application deployment environment. So it's a .NET Core application as per .NET Core we don't need to deploy separately. If it is in the same application you can directly deploy from your application. So cross platform allowing you to deploy on Linux or Windows. The same thing is for deployment activities. So if you are having cross platform, I'm being in a Linux or something, since it's a .NET Core, you don't need to worry about the platforms. So today what I'm going to do is like I already written a blog regarding the same thing in my in C Sharp Corner. So here I'm showing the as a demo. So what all are those things I told before? Everything been in this content session. So here what we are going to do is just open your VS Code or Visual Studio. I will usually use Visual Studio 2019 or any lower version, that is about 2017. So you just create an empty solution. I'm going to have multiple project under my single solution. So what I'm going to do is I'm just creating an empty solution. So I'm going to add many services, like I will have one services in EF core. I migrated some of the data. So one service I have the EF core. So I'm adding a two APIs, like web service 1 as well as web service 2. So my first web service is contain something related to EF core, where I am using the code first approach, and then I'm migrating my things to Azure or somewhere. So, and my second services contain something about some other details, like it is a normal, or if you have to have some other details like related to my previous web service 1, you can use that web service 1 and web service 2. And after that, what I need to do is, here comes Oscillate. So if you want to have a Oscillate API gateway, you have to do some changes in your .NET Core, because I have been working in .NET Core with Oscillate API. The number of codes I'm writing is very less, but actually I have to have an idea about where exactly I need to add this code, because somewhere I need to do some changes in my program.cs file, and somewhere I need to do changes in my startup file. So for using an oscillate, what exactly I can do is, like I need to understand how actually the .NET Core works, because sometimes if you have idea about .NET framework and we have no idea about .NET Core, when we come directly to work on .NET Core, even it's somewhat difficult. So first have an idea where we need to use, like how we need to use the services, and how we need to add the JSON file. Those kind of things in .NET Core need to be considered. So this is about the Oscillate. So Oscillate is like I already told you, it's particularly for .NET Core microservice, and it is having the service oriented architecture, and it will reach as a middleware where it creates the HTTP request. So whenever the client interacts, it will split accordingly, and it will make the services to bounce to your client. So this is all the things you need to consider on Oscillate. And what about the futures? Like I have my Oscillate for my API gateway. And other than that, what are the futures I have? So I will have like a routing, service fabric. This is action can be done by Azure Service Fabric, Kubernetes, WebSockets, authentication, authorization, load balancing. So if you started to work in Oscillate as a API gateway, you can understand a lot of things about how we can establish the communication, how we can establish the gateway progress with Oscillate. If you have to go beyond that, you can refer the official documentation of Oscillate, where it gives a complete crisp idea of how you can implement other things like routing or service fabric or Kubernetes service via this Oscillate API gateway. So just go and refer for once this documentation, and then here comes my action. So what I'm going to do is, I created two services just for a demo. I just created a two services. First one is my web service, the service 1 that I using for EF core, that is my code first approach to migrate some data. And second one is my service that depends on my web service 1. Something you can create a simple console application or something, whatever it is. If it is a web API, that is quite good, because doing things in .NET Core and .NET Framework is nothing different if you are doing in a console. So go for a web service itself, that's web API. So I'm adding something like I'm adding one MVC, and then I'm doing something with my web service too. So I have two service, and I want to perform some action where the oscillate plays an important role. So as per microservice architecture, we are having separate services. So what I'm going to do is I'm just adding a JSON file, .json file. Just I'm going to right click on my solution folder. From that I can add new, and then I can add directly the .json file. So an empty JSON file will be created. So what I'm going to do is first web service, I'm doing is I'm running my first web service. It will have my some local host with a port number and everything. So and same thing we am doing with my second web service. I'm running my second web service. It will have my local host and some other port number. So what I'm doing here is this oscillate I'm downstreaming and I'm upstreaming. So this everything you are going to do with your microservice are being inside this single oscillate JSON file. So downstream path is actual path of the service. That is the web service one actual path. So what kind of schema? If I enabled my HTTP, I need to go with HTTPS. So I need to give downstream host and port number. So if I am running my application in any local host, I just want to give that host and port number. So first thing what I am commanded here, I'm just explaining my I'm just doing the demo in my local host. After that, I perform those things with my Azure portal. So what I'm here doing is like local host detail. I given like host and port number. So exactly this will be the request or URL that my web app service 1 and web service 2 is running. So I just take my details. This detail I want to upstream, that I want to integrate with my API gateway, but by some parameter. So what I'm doing is like I'm giving the upstream path template like service one. So whenever I'm working, I'm just use the slash service one with my API gateway URL. It will return my service one. That is what my web API service one actually I constructed. So whenever I am giving the template of upstream for my web service 2, it will give the service of my service which I been created second. So the upstream path template is used to interact with your API gateway. So service one that will give directly my service that been created separately in my microservice architecture. Slash service 2 will create the service that been created after the service one. So upfield and downfield, upstream and downstream path are used to make your API convenient of work. So in which port and in which host I want to convert those things into my API response, gateway response by upstream template. So for service 1 and service 2, I just created a single JSON file, and the same thing I'm using for my app service 1 and app service 2 in Azure service also. So what I'm doing is I just created these things. After that, how it works. So this is what it works. It acts as an entry point of the request of the service endpoints register. We can access the service directly through the API gateway without accessing the actual web API service endpoint. So what I can have is like when I can use my API gateway alone as an entry point by using the upstream template like service 1 for accessing the web service 1 and a slash service 2 for accessing the web service 2. So my single API gateway will take me to the service 1 web service 2 based on the template, upstream template I am using. So the same thing will be used in the Azure environment also, that I will tell. After creating an oscillate API gateway, that's .json file, what I'm going to do exactly, I know how it works. This is how it works. In .NET Core, I have something like specialization where I need to write my code and I need to configure it somewhere. What I need to do, it's very easy to use if you are using in a .NET Core. If you see here, I don't want to configure my entire oscillate gateway what I written in my JSON file in big codes. I just want to do in my program.cs file. and I just need to configure that by simply adding my JSON file, the name of the JSON file I'm using. This is a JSON file I've been created like oscillate JSON file. So I'm just using the same oscillate JSON file in my configuration. So this is how exactly my project structure looks like. So guys, this is how, see, I have my API gateway and web service 1 and web service 2. In my API gateway, I have the oscillate JSON. So this oscillate JSON or the code what I written, that is .json contest what I written here, that contains the upstream and downstream. After that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to first run and check both the things in my local host. So if you see here, my first this is the web service first result. This is like a web service second one result. So while I'm running the individual service separately, I'm getting like this is like for web service 1 and this is for web service 2. Now what I am going to do is I'm just going to run and check the same thing from my API gateway, that what I written in upstream template. So what I'm here doing is like before that I'm just running and checking in the same thing in Azure. Some Azure have something like we need to do some publishing contest that I will explain. So what here exactly is like run and check in the Azure. So we can publish our microservice application in Azure. We need to create a separate service app for each service and API gateway. At end I will say what all are the difficulties that common error we will do while we are doing those things, because that difficulties I to face. So I just added up that, summed up, and I given at bottom. So what exactly is, if we are publishing a single app in monolithic architecture, I can create a single app service, I can publish directly to my app service. But if I have an architecture like separate services, I need to create individual service for each application that I am hosting on my Azure. So once my application is like individual application I need to host, even it is under the same solution. So create each application app service that you need to deploy. So what I am exactly doing here is I'm just publishing. After I'm doing that progress, I'm just seeing my app service under my Azure portal. I will have 3 services of 3 applications that been under the single solution. So after that, I'm just adding an summing up some point like I need to enable HTTP service because I configured while I'm creating a web service, HTTP is enabled. So individual app application that been under the single solution, that is services. We cannot say like application, services under each solution need to be have enabled with HTTP, so that I can publish that in Azure. I need to choose HTTP enable. So that's a customization that we need to do in Azure. After that, perform the same action you did perform in your local host. Run the individual app services. I will have separate app service 1 and app service 2 for my after I'm publishing that to my Azure service. You just check by running those both the things in your browser. So each will return the values of the individual service, like so web service 1 and web service 2. After that, the same thing I'm doing with my API gateway. I'm just publishing my API gateway also. So I will get some URL for that. I'm performing the same thing. What I did in my local host. So I'm just upstreaming by calling /service1. It will directly calls the service 1, web service 1 that I published in Azure also. So /service 2 that will calls the application that I published in Azure, that is web service that published in Azure. So the same thing will be applicable what we did in localhost and what we did in Azure service also. So after publishing, so you can access the same API gateway in a good URL format with service 1 and service 2, and you can check. Now what we are going to see is like, this is like I just summed up everything, and major thing we need to consider while we are, though the line of code is very less, and understanding is also very easy in microservice with oscillate API, but we have something like we need to understand the common issue we will go with this API gateway. First thing is like this oscillate API gateway getting updated so frequently. So First, while we are doing, we will use something like reroutes instead of roots, like complete JSON foldups. I'm using like a roots environment. So if here it has been reroutes. So usually, if we have been new, we will refer the Oscillate API gateway. It will have reroutes in all its sample. So reroutes will not works fine with .NET Core 3.1 because of some upgradation issue. So if we are using reroutes, kindly avoid using reroutes. It will not work out. So use roots instead of that. And second thing is like this is how exactly you need to write in JSON file. You don't need to write lot of things like some people will add something like I need to ensure this is run or not. So I will have something like downstream template along with some other characteristics which I check the service exactly is working or not. You don't need to do those things because you can directly in this new upgradable Oscillate API gateway, they already updated something to reduce the number of code. That's what we can easily check in our local host when you are running your application itself. So you don't need to check by writing the lines of code in here. It will create some complexity. And after that, what a problem we will usually face is uh, like kindly set a startup project as multiple project. This issue is like a very common issue because we will forget to set our startup project as multiple project because we need all the services, the complete application or as complete services within a single microservice to run at same time. So if we are going with a normal build or run, it will not work out because the single page by default the single service will be as a default service. So it will alone run. So don't forget to set your startup project as a multiple project. From the list, choose stage to start environment. So it will start to work. And the last thing is like you need to enable your HTTP. Yes, if you enable in your project, because while we are creating a project itself, it will ask us you need a Docker support or you need to configure to HTTPS. Just kindly choose what exactly you need to do because these things will play important role in Azure environment. Also we need to customize your HTTPS. I usually prefer to configure my HTTPS so that it will be my URLs or something I can easily able to view those things. So if you are using those things, you just add those things here also because in scheme, in what kind of scheme we are using, like if we have HTTP or HTTPS, that plays an important role. So if you forget, like you summed up your HTTPS in your configuration, just go and check on your Azure portal, like you enabled in your app service. After that publish, it will work fine definitely. So guys, those things are about microservice with Oscillate API gateway in Azure services. Other than this, we can enable Azure services with microservice, what I told before, in many things. If I want to communicate with my two services, I just want my microservice to update something, so I can use Azure services in lot. Even for deployment also, I need to do in my Azure Kubernetes service, just use Azure there also. So lot of things we can implement Azure services in microservices, especially in .NET Core, because .NET framework is also there, but still .NET Core is in a leading tech end because of its platform independency and the way of project structure. Because if you see in .NET core environment, this is how it exactly the single web project looks like. It will not have a lot of things as like .NET framework, like something like a lot of things, because I have not since I've been joined, I've been at a .NET core, so I have not that much exposed to .NET framework. So but in older project, wherever I'm looking, like I'm just thinking like why .NET core is so flexible. So this is how exactly, so it's very easy to use, and lines of code also very minimal compared to that. So implement Oscillate API gateway. This is the first step of learning microservice, because to learn a microservice, it don't need to be, you need to be an architecture level to understand the concept. It's very simple. If we start using microservice for small project, if we are coming to big project, we compulsory need to use a microservice. At that time it is very easy to use. Now lot of architecture like onion architecture has also been, a nano service also been, that is splitting the layer into another slices, so that will be like you don't need to write a bunch of code at the single state, so it will be very less comparatively. So this is something about microservice in and Oscillate API Gateway in Azure services. For anything, you can refer this article for source code also. If you have any doubts regarding this, you can ask in comment section also now also.